After 9 years of coaching the Austrian women's team, from 2011 to 2020, Dominique Thalhammer recently handed over the reign to Irene Fuhrmann in July 2020. Being the only woman in Austria with a pro license, it is the first time that a woman has held this post there. Irene had already represented her country before as a player, and with the knowledge she acquired, she will help Austria compete at the top level. Euro 2020 is only Austria's second, where they made their debut in the previous edition in 2017. Technically, Fuhrmann is adaptable and flexible in her approach. She mostly favored a 4-3-3, but at the Euros she opted for a 4-1-4-1 with the following personnel. Sometimes she uses the 3-5-2 or the 5-3-2. Her 4-3-3 helps maintain flexibility between a solid defense structure and a fluid attacking shape, since under her Austria has developed a vertical-based possession with breaking the lines and good movement of the ball. I will talk on the 4-1-4-1 since she used it throughout the Euros. So let's look at what Irene's Austria did in possession. Austria enjoyed playing out from the back and looked to progress through each third of the pitch, but are also not afraid to go long, since the aim of their possession is not to keep the ball as much as possible, but being purposeful with possession. Also looking to move forward quickly, reason why they don't average a relatively high possession in the Euros, but average a high number of passes in the final third. In the build-up play, they usually prefer building up from the back with the goalkeeper, and as modern football requires, she needs to be good on the ball and be able to provide accurate long balls to the forwards. But the goalkeeper usually play with the centre back. With Venegar receiving, the CDM Puntigam drops to receive, forming a back three, while both fullbacks pushes high up early. The CDM should be comfortable under pressure and have a broad passing range. With the absence of Puntigam, one of the fullbacks usually stays to form the back three and provide a good horizontal cover. As Fuhrmann requires, there should be good communication between both fullbacks and the holding mid to progress the play when highly pressed, with a shape looking like a 3-4-3 or with a 4-3-3 narrow when the opposition looks to clog up the midfield. Both attacking mid-fire Singer and Tatratil should be conscious enough to know when to attack and when to defend, since both can act like box-to-box midfielders, but usually one drops while the other one pushes forward, making them to have a 3-3-1-3 shape when attacking tougher opponents, with Fier Singer having a duty to support the striker with runs. But when both attacking mids are attacking simultaneously, they make runs and provide the striker with throw balls and even taking long shots. They also move to the flank to create overloads with wingers and fullbacks. This formation requires the wingers to have a good pace and be technically good, since Fuhrmann likes them to also invert centrally and be a constant threat to the opposition's defense, while the fullbacks move wide to provide the width and expand the opposition defense line. Since Austria is front-footed as discussed, then moving high up, their formation immediately turns into a 3-2-5, and since Fuhrmann likes her team to be unpredictable and in constant movement, they also easily become a 3-1-6 against opponents that are particularly defensive. Them being light in the midfield makes them overload the flanks by creating a box of 4 players wide, with the fullbacks overlapping to go and cross, or the attacking mid underlapping to also cross, while the wingers are willing to go 1v1 and look for shots. That's why Austria average a high number of distance shots. The lone striker needs to have a great off-the-ball movement in order to create space for herself and her teammates. She also needs to be clinical in front of goal and be able to sort herself out, since most of the time she will be isolated up front. Now let's look at what Austria did defensively. Fuhrmann wants a side that defends with intensity, and so she requires her players to be hardworking individually and collectively. Out of possession, Austria is not particularly aggressive, averaging a high passes per defensive action. Their aim is to block the spaces and cut off passing lanes, forcing their opponents to make difficult long passes, with their CDM most of the time ready to move on either side of the pitch, ready to cover any potential space behind the attacking mid or behind the fullbacks. This requires her to be able to sniff any danger and make interceptions, because they are mostly vulnerable when the fullbacks are high up. Their pressing triggers usually when the opposition arrive the middle third, where they press individually with the team sitting narrow and compressing the spaces to push the opposition backward. So their intention is usually to pin the opposition high up, with the team having a good anticipation, making many interceptions and many ball recoveries in the opposition's half. You can also see them from the start having a high turnover in possession. Although they don't press to win the ball as quickly as possible, when they do win it, they look to transition quickly with quick vertical play or direct balls up front. Their defensive structure usually depends on the opposition's quality, but the principles are usually the same. They move into their 4-1-4-1 shape, ready to move up front in a transition. And here the CGM moves on either side of the pitch to help the fullbacks in order for them not to be overloaded. So she should have a great positional awareness. When defending deep, they defend in a 4-5-1 and look to close the gap between the lines, with the wingers tracking back to maintain their defensive solidity. In the end, they were able to make it to the quarterfinals, leaving their group with 6 points. Austrian performance in the Euro was still far from being disappointing, as Fuhrmann expects better from her players and looking forward to improve the team for them to compete at higher levels with the World Cup approaching. So this is what I made from Irene Fuhrmann formation. I'll be keen to listen to any comment, positive or negative, or anything to add that I didn't mention in the video. Thanks for watching.